I've been misled. We've been misled.
No, just listen to what I'm saying. Or
What if everything we've been led to believe in is a lie?
What if there is no alien conspiracy?
Mulder, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about everything we've been led to believe.
Our work, the XFiles, everything.
Scully, are you ready for this?
I don't know. There's a choice.
We have a small problem. They've reopened the XFiles.
You are listening to XFiles Addicts exclusively on Southgate Media Network. Join Christy and Dianne for the latest news, interviews, and breakdown of each new episode from the fans' point of view of Season 10 of The X-Files. XFiles Addicts, bringing you a new perspective on the government conspiracy to hide the truth.
Fills my heart like a balloon. I
Welcome to XFiles Addicts, everyone. My name is Chrissy. I'm your host. I'm here with my co-host, Dianne. Hi, Dianne. How are you?
Hey, Chrissy. How are you?
Good. I'm hanging in there.
Very good.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. I know it's been like 2 weeks because I wasn't feeling well, and then you had stuff you were dealing with, so we finally got our act together.
That's right.
Do the podcast. Oh my God, I thought it was yesterday. Remember, I'm like, oh my God, there's no way I could have done it yesterday. So I'm glad.
Me either. Actually, I went back and watched it last night. So.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I watched it this afternoon again because I had forgotten a lot. To be honest with you, I was like, oh my God, like that's right. But I want to start out just. I believe the ratings were 6.4 was the end. The 7-day totals. It raised up from what it was originally, the live tweeting, but with the VOD and the DVR was a 6.4. Wow. Anyway,
that's good.
I think I know. Well, like you said, it's the same. It's like practically The Walking Dead.
Well, and the thing is I still am hearing from people who are like, wait a minute, when's it on? So I think that there are some people who really missed it, and I think the numbers are going to be even bigger ultimately.
Oh, yeah. Well, and of course, I think obviously we're going to get a season 11. I mean, has to. They left it in.
I have a question about the form. I have a question about the form that's going to take. So that's definitely part of our conversation tonight.
Oh, good. Yeah, totally. Yep. Well, now I just wanted to mention a couple things. You can still catch my interview I did with Dean Haglund. He's so cool. I tweeted it out, and he answered. And he said thanks. It was fun, so that was good.
Can I just say something about the interview?
Yeah, sure.
It was so great. I mean, I really enjoyed listening to it. I told you on the slide, but I'm going to admit it here. I think I would have been totally outclassed. I'm so glad that the two of you did it together. I don't think I could have kept up. I think with a little more time in the mythology, I think I could have kept up. But wow, it was just such a good interview.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. I never know what people really think. I mean, it's me and my little thoughts that enter my mind. I'm talking to him,
I totally enjoyed it, and I still haven't gotten a chance to watch his documentary, but I'm really looking forward to watching that, too.
It was so good. I was like, oh, my God, and because I was doing research, obviously, I always research beforehand, and and I knew I'd heard that he had done one, but I just hadn't, got around to watching it. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, my God, it was so good. And then to see Alex Jones, I was like, oh, my God, I didn't know he was an Alex Jones person. I just kind of found him. And, so it was great to be able to talk to him about that a little bit and, his experience with him. And, I would love to interview Alex Jones. Holy crap, that would be crazy.
That would be appropriate for this podcast.
It would actually, huh? Well,
Yeah.
What's interesting is Alex Jones' podcast is following the XFiles Addicts Twitter.
Oh, that's cool. Well,
yeah,
I think
so I did. I tweeted it to him. Yeah. I hope he listened to it. I don't know. He might have been like, who's this wackadoo girl? Just kidding.
I think what you do is you couch it in terms of you were the inspiration for Tad O'Malley, so please come on the show.
Exactly. Please come on the show. Come on. I bet you he would. I mean, he's got so many things going on, but yeah, and I mean, it was great. It was so much fun talking to him. He was so nice. I was nervous in the beginning, of course, but then once it's always hard in the beginning. Like, I'm always like, oh, my God, are they going to be, because you just don't know if they're going to be forthcoming or, whatever. But he was so easy to talk to. And
it was obvious. I mean, I could really tell.
Yeah. And did you catch when I asked him? I did ask him about, so do you think that the show is going to, kind of stay in line with the comic, and that the lone gunmen are, going to pop up again? He sort of alluded to the fact that, yeah, probably, maybe,
I definitely got the feeling there's a future role for them.
Totally. Well, I loved when I asked him, of course, what would he do? What would they be doing? He's like, we'd be underground working the eyes for somebody.
Right. That was really funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was hilarious. But yeah, so I just wanted to say thanks again to Dean Haglin for, that was an awesome fun. It was just a fun interview, that's for sure. It was fun talking to him. So I did a poll on Twitter asking if people liked the season 10 finale, and 57% said yes, 14% said no, and 29% said they weren't sure. So I don't understand why that was. Why they wouldn't be sure? How do you?
I agree. It's a yes or a no question.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be critical of the other fans, but have some passion, have some commitment. Yes or no.
Yes.
And if no, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I know. I just didn't even, I was surprised by that. But anyway, so yeah, and I mean, people, when I was tweeting, we were like, oh my God, what is going on? I was, okay, so let's get into it, because I was a little bit, first of all, it was written and directed by Chris Carter, but he also had two other writers that helped him, and I'm a bad host. I didn't look that up, but I noticed it when I was watching it. But anyway, what were your thoughts on It's My Struggle Too? So it was the bookend to the first episode that was, of course, entitled My Struggle. So what are your thoughts?
Well, so first, I would have to say, and I'm a Walking Dead fan. I've been pretty clear about that. If I was looking at the last episode as a whole, I would give it an 8 out of 10 on the Kirkman-Nicotero apocalypse scale. If I'm looking at just the last little bit with what happens with Scully and Mulder, I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The thing is that, first of all, it was a lot of technical, virus, labby jargon. And, of course, we're used to it. We're XFiles fans, so we're sort of used to that from Scully, from the XFiles. But it was a little bit convoluted to me.
Well, and I did question whether or not she and Einstein would actually have the expertise to do everything that they were doing with the DNA.
Well, yeah. And the other thing is, okay, now all of a sudden, Einstein's on board because everybody started getting sick, and she started getting sick, and then Scully realizes, the virus is what the alien DNA is what is saving them, basically. And
right.
And even just in the real world, people have said, it's going to be the aliens that save us. That's sort of been another theory. Supposedly they've been watching us and watching what we've been doing to the Earth, and and this and that, and they say some of the crop circles and things are supposed to be sort of like warnings and whatever. I mean, that's just, those are different theories from different historians and others like that. But anyway, so I don't know. I gave, for me, overall, it was about a 7. And, the last, of course, with the Mulder and Scully moment was 10 out of 10 for me, obviously. But they left it in a cliffhanger, which I was happy, because then that means, we're going to get a season 11.
Right.
you know, I mean, so let's go back to the beginning. I mean, the beginning of it, gosh, I'm like so bad, but anyway, I mean, the beginning of it, basically, Mulder is missing, which is bizarre. Scully gets a call from Tad O'Malley, who, you know, is like, you got to come here, blah, 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 and there's been, you know, Mulder, well, there was some kind of altercation, Mulder's missing, and then he tells her about this virus. So, I mean, what was your thoughts on that whole thing? I don't know. I was a little bit confused by it all, frankly.
I kind of tried to look at it in the bigger picture, and you know, there were references during the show about science fact versus science fiction, which you and I have talked about before, and which you and Dean talked about. And I'm sorry, I just have to apologize to everyone. I'm solo tonight, so if you hear barking dogs, it's me. It's totally unprofessional, and I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
But let me go back to it. So, you know, science fact versus science fiction. So I was looking at the virus. I was looking at the spread of the virus, and I was thinking about Ebola. I was thinking about the Zika virus, which we don't fully understand yet.
Right.
So it really was another moment where Chris Carter pulled us into the 21st century and pulled a lot of what's actually happening on this planet into the series.
Yeah.
Another question I have... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I just wanted to ask you, I was looking at this tonight, and I'd written it down. The name of the virus was the Spartan virus. And, you know, I feel like nothing is a throwaway when people like Chris Carter write.
Right.
So why was it named that? What's the significance of that?
I don't know. I don't
either, and I've got to think about it.
I mean, you know, and it's so funny you bring up the Zika virus. I mean, it was so crazy because the night that it aired, XFiles, the finale aired, there were like 3 confirmed cases here in Washington. And I'm like, oh my God, how weird is that? I know, it's kind of ironic. And I was like, oh my God, what? You know, what is going on? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Spartan, what is that? Jeez, I don't know. Let me just look it up while we're talking about it here.
Well, you know, when I think about the Spartans, they were outnumbered.
Right.
At, I think it was Thermopylae. I think that was the battle. And they put up a very noble fight, but in the end they lost and they were wiped out.
Right.
And so why would they I mean, is it because this virus is going to wipe out humanity except those chosen few?
I mean, the thing is that it's going to be, this is the thing. I feel like ultimately that was the plan, but it was the plan for the globalists. Globalists want that because that's what their ultimate goal is, and that's what their ultimate goal is here in reality as well, is to, you know, sort of depopulate the earth. And, you know, one way they've done it, and they've connected, I think they connected the AIDS virus to oh my God, which company was it? Was it not Rothschild, it was, oh my God, it's the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. It was the Rockefellers, I think, that their company, if I remember correctly. I mean, don't quote me on that, but anyway, but there's been a lot of different viruses and things that have been unleashed by these Bilderbergs and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, these people that are the elite. And a lot of it has to do with deglobalization. And so I think that, I mean, when you think of the Spartan virus, I mean, I think you're right, and I do think that it has to do with the fact that, you know, it's supposed to, knock us all out. It's supposed to, you know, wipe away humanity. But this is what I don't understand. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that the globalists succeed, and, you know, maybe there might be 500,000 people left on the earth. what is that going to do? Like, what does that help? I don't understand that. I just don't get, I don't know. It really irritates me because I don't understand why can't just all get along. I don't get it. Why does that need to be? Why do people have to be this way? You know? I mean, these corporations and just all of the everything. And it just makes me, anyway, sorry I'm getting off topic, but it just irks me.
No, it's totally okay. I'm thinking about the Republican debate tonight and the fact that the men who want to rule America are talking about penis size on national television.
Oh, my God. Well, not only that, but the freaking media keeps bringing up the, racist crap. The media is bringing all that up. And, let's talk about the actually, doing something for that's going to help everybody. I mean, I'm so sick of the way that media has been portraying everybody. I mean, it's like they were trying to start a fight between Trump and what was his? I don't even know everybody's name. I'm
probably
really bad,
Rubio.
But anyway, Rubio. Yeah, Rubio.
Yeah.
He was trying to start.
I haven't watched. Haven't seen it yet, but.
Oh my God! I was just like, please give me a break. And what was hilarious was that, of course, they asked Trump about, are you a KKK? And he said, Trump was hilarious. So I have to say, because he said, I've been asked, you're probably the 18th person that asked me. I've said this every single time. No, I don't support that. No, I haven't. No, you can look at all of my financials, my tweets, everything I do. I have never support. It was just hilarious because he was so annoyed by the question. And then I don't think he said it. I think Rubio said it, something about, well, the media keeps bringing this up. Let's talk about the good, what we can do, to help America. And, that's what they need to be talking about.
I rarely agree with the Republican candidates. I have to put that out there. But I have to say I have completely lost faith in mainstream media in this election cycle. Yeah. And I've completely lost faith in our two-party system.
Definitely. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. The only people that it works for are the people that are bringing these bills and everything else that they want to Congress. There is, like I've said this for years, I'm sorry, but the president is just a facade. These, it's just so ridiculous. It is not what is going on in today's world is not what our forefathers planned nor wanted for our country. We are in all these other countries fighting wars. Why do you think there's such a deficit? It's because first of all, they're causing these wars. They're fighting. They're supplying enemies with weapons so that we can fight them. It is so disgusting that I don't know. And now with everybody coming into the country, everybody's here. It's just such a hot mess. It's such a hot mess. It makes me sad. It makes me sad because I don't think that that's what America was supposed to be. It's not. And look what it is.
I definitely think that the corporations are our new syndicate.
Oh, totally.
Kind of looking again at the 21st century, the arrival of the XFiles in the 21st century. I really think that when you look at, I call them the corporate overlords, that they're really the ones who are benefiting and who are ruling, and I think they're the real-life version of the syndicate.
Well, they are, but then you got to remember those corporations are being strung by the people that are ultimately the owners of these corporations. Those are the people that are. Yeah. And so that's why I say the Bilderbergs and Rothschild and the Rockefellers and and then you've got all the politicians in their back pockets and everything that goes on in our government is just, it is just ridiculous. And the little people, us people that work for nothing, that are, it's just crazy. I don't understand why it needs to be this way. I just feel like there's enough land and enough there really is enough money if everybody would, if all these rich people would just, live on what they just need to live on, then, everybody could just get along and just be happy. I don't know. It's never going to be that way, though.
It kind of hauls back to the episode where Scully lost her mom and the trash monster, the trash one-off monster was, I mean, it absolutely goes back to that because
totally
we're just seeing an oligarchy, a plutocracy. We're seeing a rule by the few, a rule by the rich, and I think that there are definitely echoes of that in this update of the series.
Yeah, I agree. And we
should probably get back to the series.
I know. I was going to say bravo to Chris Carter for really just. I think that what's funny is, and also we did interview William B. Davis. That's our. I will tack. I think I'll tack it on at the end of this.
Oh, very good.
But but he was really interesting to talk to because he was like, well, it's all fiction, but it isn't. That's what I thought was really interesting when he said that.
It really is that blend of fact and fiction. There's enough fact to really bring it home. Exactly. And there's enough fiction to make it really interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I love the mythology. Obviously, I mean, that's what reeled me in the first place from, day one, way back when. And also, government conspiracy and all of that, I think that it's very, I don't know. I think the X-Files has opened people's eyes to somewhat of what's going on. I would hope.
I do think, again, that there's enough mirroring of actual facts and actual things that are happening that it does get people thinking.
Totally. Well, now,
or at least it provides that opportunity.
Right. Well, what did you think about Old Smokey in this episode?
So, I think, first of all, I have to say the appalling makeup job when he took his prostheses off of his face, that was incredible. I thought it was really interesting the way that he kind of twisted Reyes.
Yes. Oh,
that
my
was
God. I felt
horrifying.
It was. I was kind of felt bad for her almost, I
did, but it also made me lose such faith in that character.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
I know. And Scully was just mortified.
Right.
By what she did, how could you do that, and I just don't think that her justifications were, made me be like, well, okay,
No, I think it was absolutely fear of her own mortality.
Yeah, but so, anyway, go ahead. You were going to say something else, and I cut you off.
Oh, no. So I thought that was fascinating. I also thought the way that he said to her, well, they haven't killed me yet, and then we have the thing that is in our intro that you picked up from was it the first or the second episode, where he says, we have a slight problem, they've reopened the XFiles. I think very clearly he is now in the driver's seat.
Yes.
And I think when they talked about the syndicate in the original series, or the original run of the series, I always felt like he had some power, but he wasn't all-powerful. Now I feel like he's all-powerful.
I think so, too. Well, the other thing is, it seems like, well, we've talked about this before, that the DOD, we think, is sort of the new, quote, syndicate, almost.
Right.
But I think that, I think he's in charge of the DOD, the people, he's calling the shots for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. And,
the other question that... No, you go, and then I'll ask.
No, you go. Go ahead.
You always defer to me. You should go this time.
All right. Well, no, I was just going to say that I thought that God, I lost my train of thought already. No, I just felt like he was so it was like he was in the original series. It was like he was controlled by the syndicate, what they wanted, and he would carry out things. And yeah, and now he's just like the all-powerful Oz.
Absolutely.
Darth Vader, or he's the Emperor, I guess you would call.
Yeah.
He's the what? Who was that big Emperor thing in the new movie, whatever, in the new Star Wars movie, the big bad. But that's who he is now. But I just don't understand, how did he get all the power like that? Because we thought he was. I mean, listen, he was disintegrated. I'm sorry. The fact they brought him back just cracks me up. And the metamorphosis he went through, he could barely even move when Reyes gets to his room, and then anyway, they fixed him up fairly well. But wouldn't you think, though, this is the other thing I was going to ask you, wouldn't you think that the alien, they could just give him some alien blood or something and he'd be healed?
And somehow heal him? I don't know. That's an interesting... And the other thing that I think is that, when you look at Reyes' entrance into his room, it looks as if the FBI is responsible for recovering and rehabilitating him.
Yeah.
So are they people who didn't know? Are they people who only had partial information?
I think they're people that only have partial information. I don't think they know what's going on.
And I think how he got all the power... Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, what I want to know is how in the hell did they know to get him?
Right.
Because if you remember, who was it? Well, it was the alien hybrids that were within the FBI that were on that panel that were going to kill Mulder. They were the ones that were pulling the strings at that point, and they ordered to missile that whole area, missile the where he was hiding out, the Indian.
I think he was hiding with the Navajos, right?
Yeah, the Navajos. Yeah, he was hiding there, and they were the ones that ordered them be missiled, and so that means that how in the hell did he get the upper hand? That's what I want to know. How did he get the upper hand? I mean, somebody had to have gone in there, given the order to go in there and save him, and then, obviously we're protecting him through his recovery and everything else. And, how did he get the upper hand?
So maybe it was somebody in the syndicate who had less power than he had, and when there was all of a sudden a power vacuum because the syndicate essentially was decimated, that person looked to him as the person who had the information and knew the plans. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a convoluted pathway to it, that's for sure.
That is, I know it. But then I'm thinking too, do you think that he's working with the aliens? Because there supposedly are in reality, real reality, there are supposedly there's supposedly some whole underground, I don't know what, but there are aliens that are actually here that have been living here. People have seen them. Yeah, I don't know. Then you got to wonder, did he get some alien DNA to help to aid in his recovery? Like, we don't know.
Well, and I do think that ultimately the aliens or the alien hybrids are the ones who benefit from depopulating the planet, right? I mean, in the series, when I ask myself who benefits from getting rid of people like Mulder, who benefits from getting rid of all of our military, because it certainly looked like the military was going to fall prey to the Spartan virus. who benefits? Well, the people who benefit are the people who want the natural resources that remain on the planet.
Right. That
and,
makes sense.
you know, at this point, it's the wealthy and it's the aliens.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and then you got to wonder what race is it? What race of alien is it? Because there's several different races. So then, you know, I mean, supposedly the grays are more helpful, but then there's supposedly there's several anyway that have been identified. I mean, this is in reality. They actually did it was in Canada. Did you see that? That was really interesting. A few years ago in Canada, it was like I don't know what it was. It was a hearing of some sort in Canada, and the former ambassador of Canada or whatever got up and he confirmed that, yeah, there's aliens and we've been working with them, and there was a whole thing on YouTube. I watched it. It was crazy. And it was real.
Well, so the guy that I mentioned to William B. Davis, Paul Hellyer, who was very highly placed in Canadian government, he absolutely supports the idea that there are aliens on the planet, that there are aliens heavily involved in our governmental process already. I mean, he very much supports that idea and attests to it being true. So
yeah,
it's pretty interesting. I mean,
it makes sense.
I thought that
go ahead.
I thought that William B. Davis's response was interesting, though, and it was a good point. You can be highly intelligent and still be misguided. So
well, that's true.
You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I go so far to believe that there are aliens deeply implanted in our government. I do think that we are foolish to. Well, and I think that we would be foolish to think that we're the only sentient beings in the universe. And I do think that we've made contact. But,
well,
you know, I'm not quite so far that I think that they are a part of our governmental systems.
No, I don't think they're part of the governmental system. I mean, I do think that that's why our technology grew from leaps and bounds from the 50s to now. I mean, I think it was because we had their help. Because, I mean,
well, and I think even if we didn't have their help, we had Roswell.
Well, right.
You know, we had access to that technology.
Exactly, and they were able to reverse engineer that, figure it out. I mean, the whole fiber optics, all of that came after that. That came after Roswell. So it's very interesting to me, and you know, and I thought it was really interesting because I said to William B. Davis, remember, I said to him, well, you know, I think it's, you know, there has to be other people. And he said, wait a minute, Christy. He said, not people, other beings, other
right, other life. Yeah, but not necessarily.
Yeah, I stand correct. People,
not
like
necessarily
humans,
intelligent bipedal species.
Right. That's what he was making the point. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, you're right. Because I did have that conversation with him the first time around when I talked to him originally. That was really, it's just so interesting to me that he has this role, this iconic role, and he doesn't believe in any of it. It's so funny to me because if you have access to Chris Carter's mind, you know, and I'm sorry, I feel like Chris Carter knows more about stuff. You know what I mean? Like, why? I don't know. I just find it really interesting that even the original series, the whole mythology of it, there was some truth to it, and there's some truth to it now. And I just find it really interesting. Like, where's this information from? How does he know? I would just love to be in his mind for like a minute.
Well, and I also think that William B. Davis's response to the whole experience has been very interesting because, you know, we talked about it a little bit when we talked to him. He actively works with groups that debunk and groups that talk about, you know, rational scientific theory and it's just it seems like he has almost had an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. But why? I mean, there is so much evidence to support the fact that they've been here, they've made contact, our government is working with them. There is evidence to that, physical evidence of it. And so why is it's so funny to me that he's so against, or, he just is not against it, but, he just believes vehemently that it's not real. Or, I don't know, am I saying that right? I don't know, but he's so against it. Or, he just believes so fiercely that it's not true.
Not to detour us too far back into our political discussion, but I had someone say to me today that you can really honestly go on any major media network and you can find something to justify your position, regardless of what your position is.
Yeah, that's
true.
So,
I do think that definitely he would probably look at people who are farther on our end of the spectrum and say, I don't understand how you can believe that.
Yeah. No,
so I think it's just one of those things where you see the world through your lens.
Yeah, that's true. It's perspective. It's all perspective. And so is everybody's opinions and, what they think, how they perceive it. Everybody perceives it differently, I think, based on, even their own upbringing, their background, you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
And it was so funny because when I originally talked to him, got in the discussion of, he doesn't believe in an afterlife. He says that this is it. Like, this is it completely. Like, there's no, there's nothing else after this. And I thought that's really interesting, too, because, I'd never run into anybody that doesn't believe in, like, the afterlife or, like, maybe there's a heaven and you go there, It was just so, it was very interesting talking to him.
It doesn't fit my worldview or personal narrative, but I definitely know a fair number of people who are atheists who say, when we're done, we're done. This is the only existence, and this is our limitation, and when we're done, we're done. I don't agree with that. I don't see the world that way, but I think it's fascinating that people hold those beliefs, and I think they have a right to have those beliefs,
Oh, sure. Well, yeah, it was just very interesting to me, I'd never spoken to anybody who didn't believe in it. I used to do paranormal investigations and stuff, so I really believe, I believe there is. I mean, I kind of just, I don't know, I inherently just know that there is another. It never was an issue for me, like I just automatically, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about this, but I was just saying that it was just fascinating to me that he didn't believe in that, and it was just very interesting chatting with him. Well, what were your
and we're talking about this. Well, first I want to say we're talking about this because it goes back to that blend of science fact and science fiction.
Yeah.
And I think the whole series lends itself to these kinds of impassioned conversations. As far as William B. Davis, I thought he was so intelligent and so gracious, and I would have loved to have had a lot longer to talk with him. He was fascinating.
I know. He gave us, oh my God, we ended up talking to him. It ended up being like an extra 18 minutes or so. We were only supposed to talk to him for about 20 minutes.
And I told you, I haven't said it to the fans, but I felt guilty. I didn't realize that he only was planning on giving us about 20 minutes, which is why I kept asking questions.
I know. And then I'm like, oh my God, but he was so gracious, He was just answering our questions, whatever. And then I'm like, oh my God, we've almost had him for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. I started freaking out because I felt like, what would he say? Excuse me, I gotta go. I don't know. He's so nice.
Right.
So I don't think he would have done that. But he was just amazing to even come back on the show, and it was an honor to talk to him, you know. I mean, oh my God, he's like the #1 villain in television history, sci-fi history.
And I think the other thing that's so interesting about talking to him is that he really kind of takes us back to a different era in being cultured, being genteel, being highly educated. He really is a very classic and classy person.
Yeah. He really
demonstrates that.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, and I mean, he's a teacher. He teaches acting, you know, and I find that incredible because, and he's very soft-spoken. I feel, you know, like I felt like, you know, whereas his character is so hard-nosed, you know, but he's not that way at all. He's very, you know, and he's very articulate. He listens to you. He really listens. You know what I mean? Like he pays attention, and he, you know, he's very thoughtful in what he answers or whatever. And it was so funny because he said to us, he said, well, you know, I'm not as into the XFiles as you guys are.
Right. Which was so funny.
Well, you know, XFiles addicts. Well, that's why I was just, yeah. I think we fascinate him as much as he fascinated us.
I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah, because I'm sure he's just like, these people are nuts. I mean,
it's kind of the William Shatner looking at the Trekkies thing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I know, it's so funny. But what a great man. He was really fun to talk to, and it was just an honor to talk to him. You know. But well, okay, so do you have anything else you wanted to discuss about this? I'm trying to think what else I have. I think we went through most of my outline.
Well, so I definitely want to talk a little more about the end.
Yes, I was just going to bring her up.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, okay, we've said all along to each other that William is definitely going to be drawn back in.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten until I watched again last night that Scully said, no, he needs stem cells and he needs them from William.
Needs them from William. Oh, yeah. And like I said, I guarantee you that medallion that her mom has those numbers on it. I bet you $10 it's to where William is located. I bet it's coordinates. I bet it's like coordinates
I think
or something.
That's the best explanation I've heard of it so far. And the fact that her mom kind of brought William back up again in a roundabout way, I do think that there's definitely that connection. So I think that's highly possible.
I mean, what are the odds? I mean, she doesn't ask for anybody. She asks for her estranged son. And then before she dies, she says, my son is named William too. I mean, that was just such a poignant moment. And it was so, you know, oh my God. And then it really just brought William to the forefront. They were already thinking about, you know, I mean, they'd mentioned him a couple times or a couple of episodes prior to that. But that episode, Home Again, just really, really I thought it was the most emotional of the series for sure, and I just think it really brought William to the forefront for them, and you know what they gave up, and then you know, oh my God, what if he is, you know, what if he has whatever? So I think it's really interesting.
So I have some questions for you about the cliffhanger.
Okay.
So I was thinking, first off, does Scully get abducted? Is she potentially killed off? Because the craft looks just like the craft that killed s10e. The other question I have is this going to come back as a series? Are we going to see another movie? And I think there is an expanded role for Einstein and Miller.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. They're going to be in it for the next whatever. I mean, I think that they're part of Team Mulder and Scully now.
I do, too.
And I do think the lone gunmen are going to come back. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're going to, I think they are probably working incognito, obviously. You know, there was a reason, why they faked their death, and I think we're going to get that. I think it's coming back as a series. I think that's where they can, I think they're comfortable with that more than the movie. You know, the movie is like, you know, an hour and 50 minutes long, or maybe 2 hours, whatever. And
it's one
feel
story.
like it's one story. You have to have, you know, a beginning, middle, and end. And I feel like this is a series that there's always more. There's always more questions. There's always more. I mean, even as it's come back, we still have so many questions, even from the series, the original series. I mean, this whole William thing has been hanging over them since 2002, you know. And then, of course, obviously, you know, the cigarette smoking man coming back, and you know, how did he get the upper hand? I mean, that we got to learn that for sure. And I feel like I don't know that this craft is going to. I would think it would abduct Mulder again, because, you know, that was the other thing. You know, he was abducted in the season 7 finale, and of course brought back in season 8. But there were just maybe a couple of moments that played out, but we've never really gone or delved into what happened to him, what he went through. You know, we never have seen that. Like I really thought that the second movie that they were going to do was going to cover more like that, because that was sort of left hanging. And, you know, it makes me wonder, interesting that he doesn't have alien DNA, even though he was abducted. And we know he was abducted by the aliens because we saw him abducted with the bounty hunter, the alien bounty hunter, Billy Miles, and now Billy Miles is a super soldier. That was the other thing, you know. Why are they going to bring Billy Miles back? What about, you know, these other... I think that there's room for that. I think that I've always thought, and I think I said this in a couple of episodes ago, but I've always felt that William was going to end up, I think, personally, this is what I think. I feel like even though they gave up William for adoption, my fear is that she thinks that she, you know, was protecting him, but ultimately, I bet you $10 that these people got a hold of him. I mean, what if he's the leader now? I mean, I always thought he was the first organic super soldier to be born. That was why he was so special. That was why they all wanted to be there when he was born, that whole thing, you know. And I feel like, you know, they're going to find out that there's, I'm worried that, I mean, he's been groomed like that, and I don't think he's been saved this whole time, and I think there's a reason why they're bringing up, you know, the whole, remember when Scully was thinking, oh my God, what if he's got, you know, some kind of alien mutation going on, and maybe to a certain extent, I mean, the mentality, certainly, he can, you know, I mean, what are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I think that from a writing standpoint and from a moving the story forward standpoint, it makes sense to create conflict. It makes sense to create a situation where it's hard for them to find William, where it is hard for them to convince him to cooperate with them. And I think that kind of conflict and drama and trauma is going to make the story that much more interesting. And I think it makes, for example, Mulder's situation very precarious.
Yeah. Totally. Most definitely. And that's why it's going to be interesting is to see what they do here.
Right, and this may be a way for them to jumpstart the essentially second series and have Mulder and Scully spend limited time in the series.
Yeah.
And resolve some things and then carry on.
Yeah, that's the thing. They need to resolve a lot. I mean, as much as I was happy that they left it in a cliffhanger, it irritated me just a tad because I'm like, oh my God, more questions and more no answers. You know, I mean, like I said, we're still looking for answers from the original series. So
right.
I feel like, you know, if we get another season, you know, hopefully we're going to get all of the answers that we're looking for. I mean,
so I
fingers crossed.
I have two more questions for you.
Sure.
Do you think that Tad O'Malley survived?
Yes. I think he survived.
Where's John Doggett?
That was the other thing. I don't know. I mean, I was surprised they didn't. I thought he was going to be. I mean, I know he's in Scorpion, that show, but I'm sorry, Patrick. What's his name? I'm losing it. Robert Patrick. You know, is on Scorpion, but I feel like maybe something's happened to him. Like, this is how I always envisioned it. I really thought that they would bring Gibson Praise back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the aliens were originally looking for him, and then they ended up with Mulder. Mulder comes back for him and within and without and all that. And I feel like I think that they should do. I mean, I've always just thought they should have, you know, Gibson Praise contacting Mulder and Scully, saying that they found, you know, he knows where their son is. Their son has been conditioned, blah blah blah, and then Mulder and Scully have to try and get him out, you know, and then maybe Doggett is maybe Doggett's in you know, been taken, and it's got to be something because it's weird. They bring Reyes back, but not Doggett.
Right.
And they were pretty close, you know. They were together. Didn't they like sort of have a thing going on? I think at the end there. And they both became passionate defenders of Mulder and of the XFiles. Mhm. And so that was the other thing. It's like, okay, well, they closed the XFiles, but I mean, originally they were gonna. I mean, in the series finale, of course, they just kind of left it hanging, but that's all right. It'll still record more. But anyway, but you know, I feel like they need to bring him back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just weird. What did you think, though, Reyes? I mean, she's got to have more to do with everything than just that.
Well, I think we'll see her again. You know, she's inextricably intertwined with the cigarette-smoking man now, and she's protected. She's protected against the Spartan virus.
Yeah.
So I think we will see her again. She did make me wonder, how do they decide who they're saving?
Yeah. Well,
like, why would they save Scully?
Well, see, I think, and remember when William B. Davis, when we talked to him, he's like, oh, well, you know, I think he has a thing for her.
Well, you're right. I mean, I think he does too.
Yeah, and I also think that because she bore, you know, the only living organic human hybrid, that makes her special. She's got alien DNA in her, and the reason she has alien DNA is because she had that chip in her neck. Remember, that saved her from the cancer. I mean, it
although now
her.
they're kind of implying that everyone who is safe from the Spartan virus has similar alien DNA.
Right. Well, that there's junk DNA that has been turned on. Everybody in real life, supposedly, we all do have this sort of junk DNA that isn't turned on. They don't know what it is. They don't know why it's there because it doesn't serve any function. And so that's what sort of they're implying that, oh, well, this is the alien, but it's only turned on in some people. And you're right. How do they pick and choose? Why didn't he want Mulder alive? I mean, that was the other thing, which I found interesting. I mean, he was ready to just let him, die on the couch.
Right. I mean, he did offer him the deal, but when Mulder was unwilling to take it, absolutely, he was like, well, your loss. You won't be with your precious
loss.
Scully.
Yeah. And
that was
it's always with a
really
deal.
interesting.
It's always a caveat, but why Scully didn't have that to do that.
No, she didn't even have an idea or a choice.
No. And so it's really interesting. I'm dying to know how he got the upper hand because I mean, he's basically thinks he's a god. Speaking of, I mean,
right. I mean, and he actually he almost makes it sound like I'm not God, but I'm better.
Yeah.
When he's talking about it in this episode.
Although it's very interesting. I mean, of course, all the ancient Egyptian gods, they thought they were great. The Greek gods, the, Sumerian gods. I'm, bringing that up. I mean, I'm all immersed in that because of the Sleepy Hollows going on. But that's sort of how he was acting. I was like, oh, my God, like, seriously?
Yeah.
What the heck? So, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm anxious to see how this is going. How season 11, well, the other thing that's great is that the Sleepy Hollow writers, we've been using hashtag SleepyFiles pretty much since we learned that it was going to be back, and I always said, I mean, from day one, I always said, oh my God, Sleepy Hollow, it's just, Mulder and Scully, it's like it's my new XFiles, that's what I called it. And so we've been using that SleepyFiles hashtag forever, and it was so funny because at the XFiles panel, a fan got up and said, yeah, we've been using hashtag SleepyFiles. Do you think there'll be a crossover between Sleepy Hollow and XFiles? And this was in the Sleepy Hollow panel, sorry, but yeah, and of course Raven Metzner was the writer that was there, and he's like, well, you never know. And then the writers have been actually favoriting some of our tweets about SleepyFiles. So I find that really interesting. Nice. Yeah, and I mean, we haven't got the official that it's renewed, Sleepy Hollow, but I'm sure it will be. I mean, come on. They renewed Spring Cleans. Give me a break.
I'm not caught up, but I think it is so good that I would be shocked that they wouldn't renew it.
Oh, I know. Wait till you see season 3. Oh, my God. It's been so good. I mean, I can't wait tomorrow. Tomorrow's the new episode. X-Files fans, if you're not watching it, please tune in to Sleepy Hollow. It's Friday at 8 o'clock on Fox. It is so freaking good. And follow me at Sleepy Addicts. There. Anyway, it's so good.
The golden age of TV.
It is. I know. Oh, my God.
So people who are out there who are listening, please share us. Please go on Facebook and give us your thoughts. We really want to know how you want to be engaged in this and how you'd like to see it go forward.
Yeah, how you'd like us to use social media. Because, we can set up a YouTube channel. See, if you do a hangout, it automatically gets uploaded to a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Mine.
Man, you're Chris Carter. You're dragging me into the 21st century.
I know. Come on, Dianne.
Next episode that we're looking at from here is the pilot episode, and we'll announce via Twitter and Facebook what to look for and when to expect us.
Yeah. All right. I guess we're out of here. All
right. Have a good night.
Well, have a good one. We're out of here.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to XFiles Addicts podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at XFiles Addicts, Southgate Media Network at SMGPod, and be sure to like our XFiles Addicts Facebook page. For questions or comments, email us at xfilesaddicts@gmail.com, and maybe we'll read yours on air during the next broadcast. XFiles Addicts, inviting you to believe the truth is out there.
I've been trying to do it right. I've been living a lonely life. I've been sleeping here instead. I've been sleeping in my bed. Sleeping in my bed. So show me family, all the blood that I will bleed.